Hello guys and welcome to PWIRD and PWI. This is Sherry the boss and my lovely host and company worker Samuel, director. So today's show, guys, we are going to be talking to you about spells and incarnations and much more. Lovely Samuel is going to present the show to you and speak to you with all of the content that he has done. We hope that you enjoy the show, and we hope that if you've got any questions or anything that you want to ask, please write in the room as usual, and I will put it over to our lovely Samuel. And love and light to everybody. Over to you, Samuel.
Well, thank you very much, Sherry. Well, for starters, I did this on the metaphysical world, witchcraft, wizardry, druidism, other things like that. And I wanted to get, I guess you can say, a bit of a tool as to what people that are spellcasters can do and the various types of things they can do. So let me begin with paragraph 1. In the metaphysical world, spells can be most anything, even unintentional. The history goes far back, more than the 21st century, and even goes back further before the 20th, the 1800s, and all that other stuff. From wizards to witches, warlocks, shamans, medicine men, and many others can use spells. Spells can consist of many things: movements, words, components, visualization, and even in certain ways, breathing. Arguably, people that can do spell work have no idea that they can do spell work and see things happening right in front of them as such strange random acts. People that do spells can do it with solitary conditions such as a forest and other environments such as the desert, and even those that can do them in swamps. There are also people that have had certain amount of training on sort of like an apprenticeship. There are also people that have had certain amount of training like an apprenticeship, and this can be done through a teacher or even a family member. Family members oftentimes want to keep it in the family and pass along for generation to generation. Teachers are those that wish to be called masters, often at times help to guide the person so they can have a better control of their abilities, or even sometimes recruit the pupil for different reasons that could be helpful or even selfish, along with a bit of a sense of destruction. Other words that are used besides incantations can go like this: bewitchment, conjure, charm, invocation, prayer, spell, and even awakening. Bewitchment is a sort of spell that's cast on the person that persuades someone to give their point of view to another person, or even take control of the other person. It can also mean amazed, astonished, and overwhelmed with wonder. Conjuration can be seen in a way that some people even call summoning magic. People that conjure can bring most anything if the spell is done correctly. With conjuration, the person that is doing it has to do it correctly, or there can be very many dramatic and bad consequences. The purpose as to why they're doing can vary. What I mean by that is that they can be done for purposes with good intentions, sort of like bring in an entity or a person to protect a house or a home. Then there are people that can conjure type spells just for the fun of it, or even selfish purposes. Then there are those that conjure entities to vanquish their enemies or even hurt others just because they can, or strike back at others out of a vengeance and having a destructive nature. With all this, there are ways that the magic user can do this type of spell work. They often may need certain symbols to be drawn or used correctly that should be whom and what the thing that is being summoned. There are some people that can conjure certain entities, and people without any of this and just do it verbally with very little effort. The glamour, which is an interesting one. Glamour is kind of a spell that can be used to sort of enchant, to entice someone in the way of looking a bit more beautiful, attractive, and even compelling, for someone to want to know, or to attract, or even entice to wanting to know more, and maybe even various clothing, high heels, and even doing their hair. Glamour spells is done with illusion. It can alter just about anything or anyone, from their hair to their skin, their height, and other things. No one truly knows how long a glamour spell can last, whether it is short-lived, such as hours, months, or even longer. A prayer, which is of divination, is something that can be asking a deity or an ancestor that is considered divine to open communication between the person and the entities or entity. Oftentimes, it can be done to give praise or gratitude. It can be done through a ritual with various people, and also be with one's own personal self. A prayer can be done in a place of worship, and even in outdoor situations. So the basic thing what I'm getting at is that so far, the topics that I've covered so far are things that could be heard and be done, but it can take less than a second for it to be done, or it could take maybe 15, 20, or even 30 years for that spell to be casted. A charm is a practice or an expression believed to have some sort of supernatural behavior, sort of like an incantation or even spell. Old charms in Latin carmen describe it as ritual utterance, incantation, or even song. So basically, if you ever hear somebody who is using words like poetry, or gentle or good poetry, or even like heavy metal or things like that, that is basically, to some degree, that is charm type magic. Somebody goes into a bar, tells the person what they want to hear, they bring him or her home for the night, and kick them to the curb. That's also considered charm magic. And there are some people that are masters at it, and some people not so much. And added on to it, musicians, singers, whether they want to admit it or not, they're pretty damn good at it, and they're going to keep up with it. An incantation is that of a magical formula to trigger a magical effect on a person or even an inanimate object. That formula can be called for talking or seeing. This can be done on someone's own time, or even during a ritual, or even during prayers. Several different kinds of people can do this, such as wizards, witches, various fairies, and even warlocks. So, like I said, if something, like I said, say like if you have a pair of gloves, and with the pair of gloves that you might have, you can put maybe even a religious symbol or a sigil or whatever, and whether people want to admit it or not, it can boost up what they have and what they don't have. So, like I said, symbols, words, magic, are magic and everything. And at the end of the day, it could be effective or not effective, but it's the person that goes into it in the way they believe. An enchantment is considered to be the state of being under a spell. It can be considered a bewitchment. It can also be considered a bewitchment. It can also mean in a way that something has been altered, such as like a forest. With an enchantment, may make something like a forest always look and feel like it has a ton of snow, and it can. Getting tongue-tied. Of snow in it, or even the forest can feel like a warm and even comfortable place with extreme, or it can be come across as with extreme heat. In a general sense, it's magical altering of something or someone. So whether it's inanimate objects, whether it is a living object, say like a tree or something, somebody can put enchantment on it to make it stronger or this or that. But it does alter things in a magical sort of sense. Sort of like, I guess you can say if you make an enchantment on a pair of gloves, it can act like pretty good armor for the person to sit there and deal with it. And then we've got one that I know a little bit about. I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst. A hex or curse is something that's sort of like a prayer that can cause great harm to someone. It can be used to cause injury, disease, bad luck, and various other things that go along with death. Including death. There are certain parts of a curse. If you want something bad to happen to a person you wish to cause harm to, you have to pay a price. The bigger the curse you want, the bigger the price you must pay. That curse you want may even mean you may have to cause injury to yourself that is substantial to what you wish done, or may even the death of someone or the death of yourself. If that price is not being paid, that sort of spell immediately afterwards, what you have done and what you wish to another person, it can be done many times worse for the one who you wish misfortune upon. But in all honesty, there is a loophole whenever it comes to a curse. The curse also can have can be also a means of punishment. If someone has done a great amount of harm to someone or something, sort of like an innocent person, say like a child, there is no price to be paid on the caster. Retribution or even something like karma, the golden rule, can happen to the person and be fully in effect, and the person suffers no consequences of casting the person. Sort of like if somebody harms a small child or somebody with a mental disorder or things like that, and the person who hurt that person's going to, I gotta put this, they're going to suffer a great amount. And like I said, the caster will not have to suffer any kind of consequences. A whammy is a very general case. It's something that has a supernatural way of bringing bad luck to a person. In theory, when you curse or hex something along with a whammy, the whammy that use the curse on it can even triple the effect. It can bring a huge backlash or setbacks towards a person for years or even decades to come. So say like and also whether we want to admit it or not, whammies can be used in divination. So say like if somebody does something substantial, heroic, say like that, adding a whammy onto it can really boost up the spell that you've done. If you like the Conjuring, if you have a whammy added onto your Conjuring, it gives things a bit of a boost. Not all of it's good, not all of it's bad, but the whammy from the very beginning has to be used, then do the spell, which, like I said, can double or even triple the effect of that spell. And there are many other descriptions that go along with spells. Many can be considered good, and many of them can be considered to be that of evil. A lot of them can make you lose control of yourself and give the control you have of yourself over to others. Others out there that have the same power to summon things such as entities, ancestors, angels, even demons. When doing these forms of spellcraft, it is something to know that what you are doing, and if you have the tools to do it along with the spell components, it really adds up. Another thing that is important is that you have to have time to not just do it, but you have to wait on the spells. When it comes to the spell, you have to remember it can happen within the blink of an eye or generations to come. So what I'm getting at is that the work of spellcasters of some degree are normally people that deal with this sort of stuff on a regular basis. So with these people that do this sort of stuff, they have to, there's times where they have to wait, then there's times where they don't have to. But at the end of the day, it's the caster's choice of what they want to do. From a prayer, and helping somebody out with a prayer, adding it on a whammy to it, it does assist a really substantial job. And it's also good karma to be there for others and be for them the best way you can. And a whammy and a prayer can do that. Witchcraft, like I said, witchcraft is more ancient than they will ever realize in so many ways. Enchantments, like I said, enchantments can be made to a tree or this or that, boosting the power of the spell, making it incredibly stronger than what you realize. So there's a whole lot of so says, but it does work and everything, but it takes time. So let me go to this. Anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Well, I will say this much: whenever it comes to doing all of that,
Hang on a minute.
take your time.
Theatre Esberg wants to ask me a question. Go ahead,
Okay.
sweetheart. And yeah, normally with curses and hexes, they're not a good thing. They're normally done by people that are wanting to put some sort of marking out there. If this is whether it's somebody that's been jilted or someone that's been disrespected or not treated right, or they're doing it for somebody else, there is normally always a price to pay at the end for them and for the person that they've cast it on. You can get people to come forward to be able to remove that. People are such as myself, being a white witch, as we would say, just a witch really, but white witch, shamans, people like that. We can remove curses through things like using different symbols and doing different spells and prayers and things to put that forward. It does normally result in having a theory and a category and a way that you need to use. Hang on a minute. Somebody else's stream going. There's so many streams going. So, um, hexes and curses are not normally a good thing. And they're normally put upon people for good reasons. Sometimes not. Some people just do it out of spite. Like Samuel said, depending on the consequences of what the curse and the hex has been done on the person, depends on what's going to happen to you. A lot of the time, if a witch or somebody sends back and reverses the curse or the spell, then the sender that had sent that gets the consequences, which is normally a threefold or a tenfold. Tenfold being the most worse. And as you said, it can turn to be disastrous and very bad. I find that when I do this, even though I'm sending back to the people, I never do it in a judgmental or an evil way. I just ask that they are learned for their consequences and for what they have done. I always ask that no harm's put onto anybody, that it's left to the powers of the universe and to the divine to make the decision on what should happen.
Well,
Hang on a minute.
take your time.
I think I might have an attachment spirit, because I heard an EVP in my left ear today saying, come see this. Okay. So you think that you might have an attached spirit. And what sort of emotions and feelings are you feeling? Are you feeling like they're trying to show you something? obviously they've told you something, so they're obviously wanting you to see something. Normally, if you've got an attachment, this can be with a normal spirit, this can be with a negative energy. It's depending on what you're experiencing. Are you experiencing a negative behavior? Are you smelling odd smells like fire, sulfur, those sort of things? Because if so, then you have got what we would call like a demonic spirit or a negative energy. If it's something where it's not giving off a horrible smell, but it's a normal spirit, yes, attachments can be very disastrous and not very good for you to have going on. But it depends on what the spirit is. If the spirit is seeking help, it can become attached to you in a way that it's needing help, not necessarily attached to you, but drawn to you for a reason. So if you're not experiencing it in a negative way, then you need to maybe try to find out a little bit more. Maybe try to use a spirit box or use something and ask them what it is that they're trying to show you, what it is that they want you to do. If it is a negative energy, then you're going to need to seek help from somebody that knows what they're doing. So somebody like me or a shaman, or you could go to a priest. Because the thing is if it is a negative energy and it's an attachment, that can turn into an even greater problem. That can turn into things like possessions and overtaking you, in other words, taking control of what you are, who you are, and manipulating your life. It was like it was following me because it felt playful. Okay, so if it felt playful, then it's more than likely an energy that is not of a negative force, but I would still be very cautious. Maybe putting some crystals, some candles, doing some prayers and things out, and maybe asking the spirit directly what it's wanting to show you and what its course for being there is and what it
Hmm.
is wanting from you. If it is a negative energy, I would recommend that you try not to
Provoke it.
communicate with it because as you're feeding into it, so seek some help.
And I definitely agree with you, Sherry. I mean, you take a
It
look
could
at it.
be as well, Drew. Yeah, it could be a loved one trying to communicate with you, trying to tell you something. There might be something that they know that's going to happen or something to do with you.
Mhm.
What was you going to say about that, Samuel?
Well, the thing is that I've known people with attachments and everything. I have a neighbor that has an attachment, but she doesn't realize it. I've had a couple of intuitive friends that have come over, and they said the same thing that I did about that. Keep in mind, at the time, she was working in a nursing home, and she came in contact with, I guess you can say, a spirit or a detachment that went into her place. And so the thing is that it would go here, go there. But the thing is, if you can get it to say its name 3 times, you might be able, or get it to get its name out there. It can do that, sort of like the rules of possessions in that sort of way. But then there to get it out. But then there comes the other part of it. You don't want it in your home. And what can you
No,
do with that? You don't want it in your home if it's a negative, especially a negative spirit, because with the negative spirit, it can mess you up and everything, and can retake you at some point. Now, some of you know I do alchemy. Some of you do know that I do alchemy, and like I said, I've came up with my own sort of stuff in the way of a banishment potion, which I call a shadow potion, because I wasn't really attacking the person. I wasn't necessarily attacking them, but I wasn't. But I banished it and everything, and got rid of it. And believe it or not, she's been able to sleep every single night for the last 3 months of what went on. Then she went over to Miami. Certain things were happening every so often, but not like they were. And so I took my defensive potion, blocked off all the portals and everything. But if you can, but what I'm getting to is that if you can, whenever you get it out of the person, you need to take care of business as quickly as possible, get it out of the home, and like I said earlier, close off potential portals that are in your place. Because if you can do all that, then you can prevent it from getting worse, and maybe even prevent it from ever happening again.
I will say to you though, if you're not educated on removing spirits and you have not really ever communicated with spirits in that way, I would not recommend you doing it on your own. As Sister has said as well, I would recommend that you get somebody in that does know what they're doing. If you are somebody that does the work yourself and you do know how to deal with it, then using crystals and things like that is
Mhm.
perfectly fine. Obviously being a negative energy, like I said, if it is negative, which to me it doesn't sound like it is, it just sounds like to me a spirit that is trying to communicate with you. But don't be fooled, because sometimes they can pretend to be something that they're not. So if you're going to communicate, please use the crystals, the stones. As Samuel said, he does alchemy. He can make certain potions. You've got people like me and Drew. We can make you special herb bags and things with different oils and stuff in it that can also help you to do that. But if you're not somebody that's educated and doesn't really know how to do that, I would not recommend you doing that on your own. And I don't recommend you talking to them on your own either. I would get somebody to sit in with you that knows what they're doing, so that they can work out what is going on with you, because not every spirit is truthful, and especially if it's negative, they can portray themselves as being nice to win you over, to make you believe that they're good, and then once they've got their foot in there, it can be very difficult to get rid of them, and that is when the energy and what's going on with you will
Mhm.
rise. Okay, so you do need to be very, very wary.
And she's got a legitimate point.
Hello,
That
mittens.
Hello, mittens. But like I said, going to the person that knows what they're doing on that issue, that's the key to it. And Sherry's got a pretty darn good point. Um, like I said, with me, I had to self-teach myself a lot of things, and then also I continuously learn on that. But what I'm getting, sorry about the tangent, but like I said, if you can get rid of it the best way you can, or find somebody who knows what they're doing on how to get rid of it, and let's not just add on that, there's more than education. You need experience on that matter,
Hello.
and it does. And if you can find that person, then stick with them.
Yeah, so it's just always seek somebody else if you do not know what you're doing. If you do know what you're doing, then do that, but maybe still have somebody there just to be safe and for backup. Okay, and like I said, don't show them fear. Don't
Mm,
show any worry or anything like that, because you don't really know particularly what this spirit is. Okay, so just look into getting some help if you're
mm,
not sure of how to do things. If you're somebody that does do investigations and you know how to sort this stuff out, what I would recommend to you first is maybe trying to do saging and smudging and stuff first, to see if that removes the energy, because sometimes you can remove the energy yourself. You don't have to necessarily communicate with it. You can just do your prayers, your spells, or whatever you want. If you're a witch, you could do your spells, do your prayers using candles, crystals, and things like that. Sage, um, uh, salament, sandalwood, anything like that, anything that's spiritually lifting to help you to be able to remove it.
and definitely so, Sherry. I mean, and
Lord's
certainly,
Prayer, St. Michael's Prayer, that those sort of prayers are very good for you to use when you're trying to remove something. Obviously, if you're not feeling that it's negative at the minute, try that first. Obviously, if you do the saging and that spirit is not moving, then the telltale sign is that it might be something a bit more.
yeah,
That's when
and
you know. Okay,
yeah,
and then you're going to need to seek help.
and there's no argument for me. With me, I'll burn some incense like Nag Champa, which does help. And that's just me. I'm not saying anybody else. But for me, what works is incense, Nag Champa, or dragon's blood and everything. And then once you have all that done and have it all ready and everything, then use it. But I definitely recommend prayer. I definitely recommend prayers that on that sort of issue. But if you can get something to boost the prayers, that's even better.
Yeah, so use it. That's why I'm saying that. Like, if you put crystals and things like that down, that will boost your prayers and stuff up. Because
Hmm.
sages and stuff like that, maybe having somebody else that is spiritually heightened to be there as well, that will help you to boost that up. The most important intention when you're doing this sort of work as well is that you have got to want that energy to leave your home. Because if you've not got that in your mind, and even though you're not liking it being there, you've not got that intentions to remove it, it will not go. Okay, you need to have that intentions, you need to want to have it leaving. So you need to be able to tell it physically. Even if you don't know how to do it and you're bringing somebody else in the house, don't ever let them say they can just get rid of it. Okay, you do need to put your own words and your own thing in, saying that they're not welcomed and invited into your home, and you want them to leave as well. And you need to do you would need to do the prayers along with them.
And also, I'm agreeing with you. Being direct with the entity that you might have on wanting them gone, that really adds up after a while, and it does, depending on the person, it does work in that sort of way. Um, Now, like I said, it does work in that sort of way, and it does, and it'll keep working. But you have to be consistent above and beyond anything else. You
Yes, you
must be
do.
consistent.
So not
And
going into a room and doing it once and thinking it's gone. You will have to completely and continuously repeat what you're saying until you can feel that that
mhm,
energy has emerged and left. Okay, this can take hours.
mhm,
This can take days, depending on what the energy is. But you've
mhm,
got to be consistent, and you've got to continue doing that. You've got to keep that belief that you don't want it there. You've got to keep telling it you don't want it there. Obviously, as I said, if you're not educated and you don't know how to do this, please do not attempt to do this on your own.
yeah. And yeah, that's where Sherry's definitely right. Doing it on your own can add up to certain consequences. But the thing is that if it's that bad, seek help the best way you can. Um, and some people don't have that help. I will say that much in certain communities. Then there are other people who do have that help, but you have to seek it to begin with to get the idea of it. And so that's how it goes. At least that's how it goes in the way I see it.
Yeah, and just
So,
always be in control. Always be in control. Don't show fear, despite what they are. Even if it does feel good to you and you don't feel anything bad from it, always stay in a positive mind and always stay, because that keeps you in control. Okay, the minute you start
mm,
letting your barriers down, the minute you start showing fear of things, you're letting them in. Okay, and that is
yes.
feeding them, that is growing them if they're negative. Even
Well,
with a normal spirit as well, you know, normal spirits can feed off your energy and get stronger as well. So it's really important for you to make sure that you know what you're doing. So, are
yes.
you into the paranormal, Peter, or not? Do you not know very much about it? Because if you don't know very much about it, I would not suggest you do it on your own. I would suggest that you seek someone out. There's a lot of people. You've got, as we've got up here, you've got Samuel, you've got myself, you've got Drew's Paranormal in the room, you've got my pups on Chasing Bones and Spectres, you've got people like that, you've got Colleen, White Owl. You've got quite a few people that you could go to seek some advice if you're needing that help.
Well, you also have to remember, added on to what you just said, Sherry, is that everyone has, to some degree, their own sense of style, the way they do things, their own approaches, and everything. But you have to work. You have to make it work for you too. They might be able to get rid of it for a while, but if they recommend you, I gotta put this, if you have to find what they recommend to you, because you have to keep up with it.
Yeah,
There's several different,
but you wouldn't just banish it and then not
yeah,
carry on doing the ritual. You would need to do that for several months or several weeks after. You do need to
mhm,
keep it continuously to keep the energy away and to make sure that you sustain and that they don't come back. It's not
yeah,
something that you can just go in, do it, and then be like, oh, it's done now, I'm okay. You do need to continuously do your saging, your prayers, everything for a number of weeks, sometimes even months, depending on what sort of energy it is.
Well,
Um, yes, I'm
this
very
is
much a late. My late grandma did ghosts in a glass, and I am
mm,
sensitive like she was. So you have got some understanding of how to do this sort of work. So you're halfway there. But if you've not experienced and done this thing before, if you've not actually yourself got rid of an energy before, I
mhm,
would recommend that you have somebody just to come in and help you.
mhm. Well,
Okay.
that's, yeah, definitely. There's no argument. Another thing, also, not saying anyone is like this, but I've met a few people that have attempted to do some work, but there's an old Christian saying, "Cleanliness is next to godliness," and you have to keep up with a certain management of your home and this and that and everything, and keep up with things, keep things clean and everything, because whenever you go into a place that had, oftentimes places that look like a tornado went through it, that, not always, but it can invite some nasty spirits to come out. So keeping up with your place, it doesn't have to look like the Taj Mahal, but keeping up with your
Oh yeah,
dishes, your
most definitely
laundry.
cleanliness and stuff as well.
Yes,
Yep.
and
It's
it's
not just about doing the spells or the prayers, whatever it is the person that you are. It's not just about doing that. It is about making sure that, like Samuel's saying, you maintain your house, make sure your house is in a clean state. Because when your home's in a clean state, that puts you into a happy and a better place as well. You've probably noticed it that when you're in your homes, you go to people's homes where there's a lot of crap about, it can
mhm,
bring your energy and your mood down. Okay, so they're going to feed from that, and they're going to be feeding from the fact that your house is in a mess as well. So just keeping
yes,
it clean, keeping on top of your prayers and your castings, so that you can continue to leave it out when
mhm,
you're leaving and coming back. Always do a prayer before you leave, and do a prayer before you enter back in your home. It's keeping that safeguard and that circle around you and your home, and
mhm,
carry something on you, carry a crystal or some sort of spiritual tool, so
mhm,
that when you're there and you're doing it, you're not going to be affected. Because I will always carry my stuff around with me when I go out and things like that. This just keeps you shielded and keeps you back. Obviously, using this sort of stuff, always make sure that you charge them with the sun and the moon, sage them, salt them, whatever way you want to do that. Always make sure that you do that as well to keep the energy of protection there. But
yeah,
always remember to put protection before you go out and before you come in. The same with anybody visiting your house as well. If you've had a problem in your home and you've sorted that out, you don't want somebody else coming in your home and possibly bringing something back. So always make sure that if you know somebody's going to be coming round, that you pray and you do things before they enter and you do it when they leave. Okay, because then the energy is going with them.
yeah, and that's definitely so. I mean, the power of prayer is very substantial. Is it everything? Not in my opinion, but it helps quite a bit, and it gives you a certain sense of security within your state of mind. But like I said, that's what you have to do. And like both Sherry and I agree on completely, is that you have to, I guess, maintenance of anything and everything that you can on that issue. And there's no getting around it.
Also, with you saying that you're sensitive, so you're open to the spirit world, you can communicate with the spirit world. Please bear in mind that because you are sensitive and things, you will have energies passing through you a lot. Okay, that are going to be wanting different things from you. Some wanting help, some wanting to be crossed over, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So being sensitive means that you are open to good and bad coming to you. Okay, so it is really important that you do this on a daily basis, doing your protection, doing your saging, doing those things every day is really important if you're sensitive. Taking salt baths, taking spiritual baths, doing things just to keep your energy at a balance as well, because that's really important when you're spiritual and you're open. You need to be able to keep a balance, because if you're
Mm-hmm.
not fully working, you could let anything in. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So
and this.
please make sure you look after yourself as well, not just your home and yourself need to be protected.
Well, like I said, there's no argument whatsoever from me on any of that. I mean, I guess to some degree, what works for me, and this is just me, I mean, you can take or leave it, but I try to keep a neutral state of mind. And what I mean by that is you, if you have trained where you've been trained yourself and everything, keep the mindset of thinking nothing, be on autopilot as much as you can to for it to work in that sort of way, and keep yourself as neutral as humanly possible. Because if you can keep your mindset as neutral as possible, not always, but you have more of a chance of not being bothered by attachments. But there's a lot of things that can go wrong whenever you do have an attachment. It can go wrong very quickly, but you have to
Yeah,
keep the mindset of neutrality, work on your gut instincts, and combine that. If you have any training, use the mindset of nothing, getting to your place, don't think anything, and then getting back to
yeah.
work or getting back
Don't feed
home or
into
things like
what's
that.
happening with you. In other words, don't feed into what's happening with you, because the more you're feeding into it and you're taking notice of it, the more it's going to grow. So be natural and
Mhm.
just be neutral, like Samuel's saying, and don't look at it all as a, oh my God, something's here. What shall I do? Just go in there and go, okay, there is something here, but you know what? I'm in control. This is my home and
Mhm.
I am me. I
Yes.
am in front. I am ahead. Okay.
Mhm.
Always keep that natural mind and just
Mhm.
it's good that you've got you've got familiars and you've got protectors. You can call on things such as angels and guardians and things like that as well to help you to keep your home safe as well. Okay.
Yes.
You
And
don't
that.
have to be spiritual and you don't have to believe in things to be able to do it. The fact is, and I say this every single time, like a lot of people come up and go, well, I can't do it because I don't believe in God. You don't need to believe in God to be able to remove an energy from your house. You've got to believe in yourself and believe that your energy and what you are is powerful enough to remove that. Okay. So you standing there holding a Bible and reading it, but you're not really believing in God. It will still work, the words, if you believe in what you're saying and what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but again, as I said, if you know, if you ask somebody that is like that and you're like, well, yeah, I'm not really that way, I don't really believe in God and whatever, it might be good to bring somebody in that has got a faith that they follow just to help. But just
Mhm.
remember that you don't have to be spiritually or religiously connected to anything. The
Yes.
power and the energy is in you. Okay,
Yes.
as long as you believe in you and you believe that you can remove something, you'll be able to.
But definitely so, Sherry. But like I said, you have to believing in yourself. But like I said, when you go, like I was saying, I know I repeat myself obsessively, but when you go out, plan your route. So, like if you're driving, plan your route out. Number one. Number two, keep a neutral state of mind. Don't think, be on autopilot and react, but don't think about it while you're out and while you're out leaving your place. And then whenever you're coming home, don't think about things and be in a neutral state of mind. Just like I said, be do
It
autopilot
can
that's
be
been
very
trained.
difficult. It
Oh
can
yeah,
be
there's no
it
argument.
can be very difficult for people to not take notice and to be that way though. I do understand that completely. So what I would recommend
Mm,
is putting things into yourself and into your home that are positive to you. So
mm,
you know, when you're going out like Samuel's saying and you're in your car, you're going to normally sit there and think when you're driving, aren't you? So putting your favorite music on, having your crystals and things like that, something that's positive and makes you feel good and makes you forget. Okay, doing
mm,
that. The same with your home, putting positive objects in your house, putting spiritual objects that you believe in and you believe help you. Doing that sort of thing also helps. Okay, the
mm.
more positivity you put in yourself and in your home, the more easier it is to sort the issue out.
Yeah. definitely. But that's definitely how it goes. And with you, Theta, I hope for the best with you and everything. I hope
So do I.
that,
And I hope that the
yeah,
information we gave you helps as well. And, take it on as well. Take on what we're saying to you and think before you act.
yes.
Okay.
And,
Go on.
but yeah, but like I said, everyone is individual. Everyone in the material plane is individuals, and what may work for one person may not work for another, and then what may not work for that person, 15 other people, and it goes on and on. But you have to keep all that in mind, what works for you,
Well,
and stick to it.
yeah, and it is true. Everybody is different, but everybody's got things in this world that they love and that makes them feel positive and feel good.
Mhm.
It's those things you need to put into your life. Okay.
Yes.
Everybody has things that are positive and things that benefit them. Okay. Everybody's got that in this world. Even those that have got the most hardest lives and got things going on, there are things that they fall back on that make them feel a little bit better. That is what you need to be putting in your home. And you'll say, what's that? Yeah, you're like my senpai. Thank you. That's very cute of you to say that. Stay positive, sweetheart, and just do what's right for you, but do it safely. Okay, if you don't feel comfortable and you don't think you can do it on your own, please seek advice and seek somebody to come and help you to do so. Okay, because I would hate for something to happen to you, because the problem is, and a lot of people do this, like Samuel said, they get people to come in. Some people don't even know what they're doing. They pretend and portray that they know something. Make sure you do your digging and make sure that you look up on if they've done a lot of stuff and if they've got good feedback and stuff like that. That's very important. When you're what else? This just popped out my head. Yeah, so looking for good people to be involved. Don't just jump to the first person that comes to your head. You've got to know that they've got good reputation, that they can get the job done and work. Because the problem is if you bring people in, they do it and it doesn't work, they will just multiply the problem and make it
Hmm.
worse.
And
Okay,
that's
so
definitely so. Because
make
the
sure
thing
that you,
is,
you do your research.
yes, that was exactly what I was going to say.
Research is very important, even if it's just for yourself and you know what you're doing. Just do some research, just to cleanse your mind and to re-educate it a little bit, and just know that
Mm-hmm.
what you read it up so that you know what you've got to definitely do. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that is the advice that we can give to you, sweetheart, and we do sincerely hope that you do get this issue sorted out.
Yes, definitely so. Um, any other questions from anybody?
Anybody else got any questions? We've got 10 people in the room.
True, true.
Great
But
advice, thank you, Juices. We try to do
thank
our
you,
best.
Drew. But yeah, that's definitely how it goes. Okay, what else is there? But yeah, then you've got, besides prayer, you've got other things like enchantments. Enchantments, taking a certain item and then boosting it up, can help out quite a bit with certain people and certain problems. What else is there? Conjuring is something I would love to do, but I would never do it at the same time because knowing me, I would probably stick my foot in my mouth and say that exact wrong thing you don't want to hear, and it would make it pretty bad to some degree. But like I said, I gotta put this. But like I said, conjuring, like I said, summoning of things, and if you don't do it right, it could be disastrous, just ridiculously disastrous, and it gets bad whenever you don't know what you're doing. So, my
In my
opinion,
in my opinion, conjuring's not really a good thing. It's never like when people do conjuring, it's never for anything that's of a good nature.
Yes, I'm not
When you're
arguing that.
conjuring, you're conjuring negative energy. You're conjuring things to happen. So, you know, I
Hmm.
wouldn't recommend anyone trying to conjure anything out, to be quite honest. I would
I was
keep your
about to say,
intentions
yeah,
clean.
definitely. But definitely so, Sherry. I mean, we can sit there and we can discuss it all day and all night. But conjuring, if you don't know what you're doing, it can cost you and cost you big.
It can. It's like when we call up on our angels and we do certain things like for our angels and stuff, that is kind of like conjuring them. It's like bringing them forward. That's completely different. If you're asking directly to an energy that is known to be good, okay, that's good, okay. But if you're going out to just conjure any random thing, I would think twice about it if I was you,
Yeah,
because you just don't know what you're stepping into. And
yeah. Another thing I recommend to anyone and everyone is never do a curse. We never, I mean, some people, no matter what we're going to sit there and say and do, they're going to try. There's people who are going to try that left and right. But you have to remember a curse, it depends on the point of view and everything. And normally, most people don't know how to do it right, or they leave something out. And that could be detrimental, maybe even deadly at some point,
yeah,
because if, well, like I said, some people, even though they know what they're doing, uh, it can spell disaster for them very quickly. So no matter what you want to sit there and say and do, that's how it is. My suggestion towards anyone, and I'm not anybody's dad or anything like that, don't attempt to curse, don't attempt to a hex, no matter how mad you are, say like at a family member or a neighbor or something like that. Don't attempt that because
there's always a
normally
price to
it
pay when you do
backlash.
that. There will
Yeah,
always be a price. The same with conjuring. That I wouldn't even attempt to do the conjuring thing either. I'd like, yeah, call your angels, call your guides and things. That's fine. Okay, you've got to do certain things to bring them forward. That's fine. But I would not just conjure any other sort of energy. It can be
hmm
very dangerous, and like a hex and like a curse, it comes with a price.
Another thing also added on to that, I will never attempt a whammy. I will never attempt one because if I was to do a spell, don't get me wrong, they depending on the person, they work. But I, me, this I point blank, I'll say I don't know enough about whammies. Like I said, it's a kick. It's a kick. It's a very powerful thing that kicks up the spell. But if you don't know how to do it, then stay away from it because what it happens if you try to do a whammy and you say the wrong thing, the wrong body movement, the wrong kind of breathing, it can it can tear you apart in that sort of way in a metaphoric sense, making things go pretty damn dark and pretty damn black, and it hurts people left and right. So don't, if you don't know what you're doing, definitely don't stick with the whammy. But there are some people that are in here that a lot of people know what they're doing and some don't, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that sometimes in life, if you're going to listen to people that have the experience, like me and like Sherry and I, uh, certain things don't attempt. It just don't because, like I
No,
said, it does backlash. And so, what I think works for me, I think what works for me is if I am to do something that, if I'm to do something, um, then I try to research it as much as humanly possible. But at the end of the day, it's up to the individual. And you can attempt this stuff, you can't attempt it, and this and that. But the decision is yours ultimately. And you may have to pay a price for what you've done.
at the end of the day, when you do this sort of work, now you've got to look at it as it's your intentions that makes it happen. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
if you're not going in there fully confident,
Mm-hmm.
then that spell or that working that you're going to be doing is not going to be confident. Okay, you need to be make sure that you know what you're doing and that you're confident in what you're doing. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
not, then research, studying, and learning before attempting to do these sort of things is a very important thing to do, definitely. um
Yes.
but
Research it.
I wouldn't
Research.
even attempt to do hexes and curses and all of the other things like the conjuring and them, and I wouldn't. And like I said, just stick to your energies. If you're wanting to enhance spells and stuff like that, you can do that by putting things in like herbs and different potion bits, different oils, calling upon the divine, calling upon the Lord, calling upon Mother Earth and Mother Nature. All of these sort of things can heighten your energy and your
Mhm.
your work. Okay, you don't need to physically call upon something bad to make it happen. Okay, you can do it in other ways.
Well, I definitely one thing I point blank do I'll have no problem mitigate is incantations, where you say something that goes along with the spell, goes along with things, and it triggers that effect and everything. And so
Well,
with
yeah, that as
incantation,
well. Word of mouth is your most important thing in your spells.
yeah, and going over it and everything, and going over it several different times does help. It does help in certain ways, but you cannot expect it to always be on your schedule. You cannot always expect it. You have to you have to realize that just because you do something in 5 minutes doesn't mean it's going to be returned back to you. Now, on the issue of incantations, in other words, at least for what works for me, is saying it over and over again and keep going and not stopping what you're saying to do that sort of thing. And some people know certain things about me.
Yeah,
Last week I was on vacation, and I absolutely adored those people. And these people are some of the greatest hosts I can ever think of. And for me, like I said, I do the incantations to keep myself stable and everything, to keep myself calm through thick and thin. And I try to do that and everything. Am I always successful? No. But I do a lot better whenever I guess you can say, whenever I think to myself that sort of thing, or I repeat it several different times. And
yeah. Well,
one thing,
it's not even just that, is it? The
no.
repeating of it, because the thing is what people have got to realize is, like, when you go to people or you're doing this yourself, right? Not just because you're wanting that to happen at that time, it doesn't mean it's going to happen at that time. Okay, the divine and the energy that you're working with will decide when the time is right. You could sit there and chant over and over again, like you're saying, Samuel, but if it's not meant to happen in that moment, it's not going to happen. Okay,
Yeah.
it happens when it's meant to. So just
Mm-hmm.
doing it until you feel that you've completed that, and then just wait for it to happen. Because even
Mm-hmm.
like there's me and Sister Drew in the room. Okay, we do our spells and prayers. Yes, we enhance that energy by chanting. We put all of our intentions, all of our love, all of our power into that. But it doesn't mean that that spell is going to work
Mm-hmm.
straight away. Okay,
Yeah.
it's there, it's energized, and it is working. But for it to be at full force, that is the decision of the above. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that is just
And
how it
that's
is.
yeah, that's definitely how it is. I mean, you can't expect something to work just
Exactly.
it's but you can't just expect things to work at the exact minute, the exact time. Sometimes it takes, well, I know I keep repeating that, but
It can take
at the end of the
days. It can take weeks. It can take
months,
months. It's whenever it
generations,
decides to do it.
yeah.
Not all spells work there and then. Some of them build over time. They get stronger and they
Mm,
get stronger and they get stronger. And the most powerful thing in any spell work is your intention, is your
mm,
mind. Okay. No spell, no work will work if it's not your intentions. Okay. You
mm,
can't pick up a wand and pick up a spell bag and do it and that not have the intentions of what you're wanting to do, because it won't do it. Okay. You need to have that intentions that you can do it. You've got to
of
put that
course.
energy into that. Okay. So, and don't sit there and think, oh my God, well, it ain't worked because I'm not feeling nothing. Remember that Mother Earth, Mother Nature, and the divine and the Lord decide when it happens. It just means
Yes.
that at that moment in time, it's not the right time. When it's meant
Yes.
to happen, it will.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, but like I said, whenever it comes to magic, it's individual, true and through. And well, like I said, what works for one person may not work for the next five. So it's all individual. Take it or leave it. That's how it is.
Yes, it takes time, but the minutes you the minute you do it, the universe sets motion. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Drew. That's what I've just explained. Like when you make that spell, it starts working straight away. Yeah, but the full effect and power of that spell will happen when they want it to happen. Okay,
Hmm.
so when you cast the spell or you do the prayer, whatever you're doing, it starts to work straight away, but you may not see the effects of it until it's meant to be effective. Okay,
Yes,
so
that's how it goes, and
that's
that's
how it
how
is.
it is.
Yeah.
And so, well, if everybody liked this, give us a good like and subscribe. Uh, I'm going to have to depart here in a bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
And plus, plus, I will say this much: I really appreciate all of you guys, and please do not think otherwise. People do love you and care about you, and we all do.
Oh, and we love and care about you as well, Samuel.
You're lying. You're lying. Just
No,
kidding.
I'm not lying. You should know your boss lady by now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, you guys, I hope you liked the show, and I will see you folks later.
And thank you, Samuel, for doing an amazing job again.
Yes, ma'am. All right. You take care. Bye bye.
And you, thank you for coming up. Oh, you little darlings. So yeah, that was Samuel doing his show. I hope that you like that on spells and intentions and all of those things, guys. And to the person that was in the room, I hope that the advice helped you. And if you have any further issues or you're not quite sure about something, please do not hesitate to jump out at us and ask for help. Like I said the name of people in this room that could help you. There are many more as well. You know, you're not on your own in this community. We're here to work as a team, and we're here to be there for everybody. Okay, don't ever feel like you're on your own and stuff, because you're not. Okay, and just know that, you know, your interests and what you need is most important to us. Okay, and you guys know how important all of you are to me, and I will do anything for each and every single one of you. So don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. If none of you have got me on Facebook and you've got Facebook, add me under Sherry B. Brett or Willow Brett, and I'll be more than happy to be there as a friend, as a supporter, and as somebody to guide you. Okay, and there are other people that can do that as well. Evie is been in here for a long time. She's one of my most favouriteest people, along with you, Drew, and Dobbies. And, you know, it's just so lovely to have all of my family back together. I missed when the streams and the work was divided. Same as Chris, you know, we've got Chris and Dakota as well. You know, I hated that place where we was all divided. Okay, it's just so nice to be back together. So much amazing things happen when we are the family that we're meant to be, and there's not venture away from that ever again. Okay, I have never had the intentions to upset anybody or to screw anybody over. You know, I've acted in ways that I've acted because they were right to me. Okay, and you guys never stopped being important. Okay, so remember that, and I've always got your back, and it is lovely to just have you all back. It's nice to come on my shows and see you all sitting here the way that it should be. You know, this is fate. This is what we're meant to be. It, just remember that, and just know that this community love each and every one of you, and you're all individually important. Nobody is more important than the other. You're all the same in my eyes. No, Not, we haven't, sweetheart, but there was a few people that we went through times where we had our own stuff going on and we wasn't really being very supportive of each other. That's including me, okay? Not saying that I wasn't there and they weren't there, but we were very busy. So there was that divide in a way. And, you know, this community got affected because of it, okay? And that's not what we want. We want to keep our community together. And I do feel the power and the strength of our community coming back. I love you too, sis, more than anything. I love all of my sisters and brothers. You're all my angels in here, and you know, I would. There's not anything I wouldn't do for any of you. Okay, I might have peed people off in the past and been a bit long on things, but believe me, I always have your interest at heart. And remember that. And do you know what I think we need to do, Sister Drew? We need to bring Dakota and Chris up on this panel at one point, and we need to do some work to do with the ETs. I think we should get those wavelengths that they're using, and I think that we need to have a session where we have full communication with the ETs and try to bring out and communicate with them more, and, you know, work together as we're going to be to make it better and to understand them more and to get the fact of their existence out there. Yes, and we're going to also be doing that in the paranormal as well. It's really important to bring both family sides together, okay? And I am dying to get Dakota and Chris on here, and with you, Drew, because we're all linked. I'm sorry, we are, okay? And let's do a show we haven't done before. Okay, like Chris and Dakota do over on their thing, we do ours on our thing. Let's bring us all together and let's do it together. That's what we have been put here to do. That's why we've all met up. That's why we've got all these things going on, because we are supposed to work together, because we are supposed to prove the existence of other life forms and things like that. I do believe that. And we are very much connected. Some of us are more connected than we realized. And I think through doing that, we're going to learn other people to be more open. And I think that people will really like that. Definitely. Oh, good, Mittens. I'm glad that you think that's a good idea. Exactly. We are all friends. You know, sometimes you do go off and have to do your own thing, but true friends will always be there no matter what. Okay? It don't matter what you've said. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter how you've acted. You will always come back together. Okay? That's what true friends do. And remember that. Exactly, to celebrate our new learnings, our new ways, and to be open and to be acceptance to them. Okay, because the most important thing, and the thing I've learned over YouTube in the last nearly 7 years that I've been here, it'll be 7 years in June, that you need to have the good intentions in the community to be able to communicate with these other elements and stuff. You know what I mean? I know that you felt awkward, sis. I know you did. I did as well. I didn't know what to say or how to be, you know, and I'm sure, and I know you didn't, and I know that Chris didn't, and, you know, everybody, you know, we all had things going on. You know, we was all sidetracked and swayed from different things, you know what I mean? And it's really important now that we've learned our lessons, okay? That as the community that we are, we do not work well apart. Okay, we are better together, all of us. That is what we're supposed to be doing. Nobody's trying to take over other people's work. We're trying to be there for each other. We're trying to learn from each other. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that for ourselves. Let's do that for our followers and our family. Let's do that for our spirits, our ETs, our cryptos, all of it. let's bring that all out there and do what this community is supposed to be doing. That's bringing evidence and bringing proof. That's what we're supposed to do. I know I felt odd as well, Drew, and felt very lost. But I don't feel that anymore. And there's been some amazing shows recently, and people are really loving the shows, and people are really liking the fact that we're back together, all of us, you know, and that is the most important thing for the community. A broken community is not a good thing. Oh, we are going to heal the community. We used to do it before, and we're doing it again, sis. We are doing it. People are happier again. People are feeling more comfortable. They're not feeling like they feel bad because they're going between rooms and they don't know which one to go to. We're all back together, and that's how it should be. You know, people shouldn't have to choose where to go, and I would have never made people to choose anyway. I've always been open and said you can support and be with whoever you want. I'm not going to judge you for that. And that's how I will always be. So this community is something that I love more than anything. Good. Good. That is really, really good. I've just joined up with D Live. And that seems like a pretty cool place. And another place that might kick off. Not done no lives or anything on it, but I have joined up to go to people like Luna and Boomer and people like that, and it is really, really good. And you can play music on it. Play music, so I could do all my dancing and my music, and we could do some of our witchcraft stuff on there, you know, like, yeah. We was being tested on our loyalty to each other. We was being tested. We had to find our way to, and know what was right. Well, good. You like D Live? Well, on D Live, I am under Sherry 38. If any of you want to add me. Go over and check it out, guys. So what I'm going to do, if any of you want to talk to me on Facebook, you know where I am. Just message me. I'm going to come off of here. Again, thank you, Samuel, one of my A team from my company, for coming and doing your amazing show and doing amazing content as usual. Very proud of your work, Samuel. I hope that you start feeling a little bit better as well, because you seemed a little bit washed out a little bit. So I hope you're going to get rest and look after yourself. You guys, Drew as well, she's not feeling very well. My sister's not feeling well, so sending you lots of love, light and blessings as well, sis, and healing. Please feel better. All my angels in the room, sending you love, light and blessings, and be safe, be real, keep lifted, and remember that we love you. Stay real, stay true, and remember that I will see you real soon. And when you go to sleep, those spirits creep, and they're always around you. Yes, Sherry 38. Yep, like that. Sherry 38. Love and light to you all, my sweethearts. I'm just going to play the intro back out and the 30-second down. But until... Oh, what is it tomorrow? What are we on today, guys? Is it Saturday or is it Friday? It's Sunday. Bloody hell, I'm behind. So tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, I will be doing another stream, which is our educational stream, guys. So tune in for that. That should be really exciting. Sister Drew or anybody, if you want to come up with me, you can do that. That would be absolutely awesome. But until then, night, guys. Going to play the intro out. It's Saturday now. Well, it's not anymore. It's Sunday for us now, but just going to play this out. Love you all. Love, light and blessings. Good night, my angels. Sleep well. Luna is live as well, guys, so please go over and check her out. She is live. Yeah, that didn't work out right, did it? Love you all, guys. Love and light. Blessed be. Love and light and a merry parting to you guys, and see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time. Night, night. Blessed be.